Uh, I'm head of the audiobook department, and so today I'm going to really talk about your deadlines and also kind of walk you through what is expected from you on a weekly basis and through the different parts of the audiobook cohort. This is stuff you're going to be hearing mostly for the second time, as most of you, if not all of you, had a one-on-one meeting with me, but I know that was months ago, and so now I'm going to walk you through uh, exactly what we'll be doing here over the next few months. So let me go ahead and screen share this with you. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we're up. Audiobook workshop, of course, for cohort 19, which is your cohort. It started 2 days ago on March 11th. So it's a 4 month cohort, and I want to set the proper expectations for the best methods for overall success. By now, you should have passed your sound test. If you have not, you are behind schedule. You're going to need to catch up. Get with your producer and get that done. The longer you fall behind, the harder it's going to be for you to make it to the deadline on time. Your raw files due date, this is very important. Your due date is uh, for the raw recordings, which is your first draft. It's the basically Friday of the 6th week of the day you started is when your producer is going to submit it to post production on your behalf. So as your start date was 3/11 2 days ago, your raw files due date is Thursday 4/18 at noon Eastern time. So this means all your chapters, including introduction and conclusion, in your PDF with all changes are placed in your Google folder and named correctly. So speak with your producer about how to name your files. Basically, we just want them in chapter numbers. Some of you in your book have names for your chapters, but putting them in by name in your Google Drive folder will not work because they're just going to be in alphabetical order, not necessarily chronological order. There's no way for the post production team to know what comes in what order. So just name them chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Keep it simple. 25% recording per week over the next 4 weeks. So to be on track, your goal is to record an additional 25% of your audiobook, all the way up to 30% if you want to, for the next 4 weeks. So you record the entire book in 4 weeks' time. Okay. We don't really want you to do more than 30% unless you have a lot of experience with this. Some of you are professionals, but those of you who are not, and especially those of you who are doing this really for the first time ever, we don't want you to get laryngitis and blow out your voice. So it really, like, the best spacing is for you to do 25% to 30% of the audiobook each week. And what will happen is, because you have 6 weeks to turn it in, if you do it in 4, you're going to have 2 weeks for you and members of your author community to listen to your audiobook, listen to everything so you can take notes and do some second takes of sections you don't like before you submit them to our post-production team. So you want to tag in your producer every week when you upload new chapters into your raw files folder in your Google Drive. Tag in your producer. Let her know so she can listen. She's going to listen to 10 to 15 minutes of the front material and 10 to 15 minutes of the back material. Just want to let you know, producers at the company are not required to work on weekends. So if you tag them in on Friday, They might not get a chance to listen to your recordings until the following week. Just understand that. We have normal work hours here. Producers are not revision editors. So in your softcover publishing journey, your revision editors read every word of your book and really gave you notes on every word. That's not what the producers are meant to do. Their job is to keep you on track with deadlines and workshops and to answer questions you have. They're not going to do a deep dive and listen to all of your recordings. They're not sound engineers and don't have the sensitive equipment that our post-production team does. If you want people to listen to your recordings before you submit them, bring in members of your author community to get some immediate feedback so you can redo chapters or parts of chapters that could be improved with another performance. Basically, anyone can listen to your recordings and just tell you sections where maybe you're going into a monotone or where you're mumbling, not enunciating properly. You don't need a producer to do that. Anybody that you trust can listen to it and give you that kind of feedback. Remember to update your PDF. This is really, really critically important. Don't underestimate the work on this. The post-production team is going to need an updated PDF with any word changes you make during the process. Literally every word needs to be accurate. So anytime you alter a sentence during the process, please immediately update your PDF. This is going to work better if you practice, find what's wrong in your sentence structures, and change them before you're in the recording stage. You should plan this out in your schedule. Don't make the mistake of recording a section and then attempting to go back later to find what you changed. This leads to far more work than you want. It's a nightmare process that often leads to mistakes. So submitting your files to post-production, so your raw files go into the same Google Drive folder that your sound test went into, but it should be in its own subfolder named raw files. All you have to do to submit your files is tell your producer in your personal update room that they're ready. They're going to give them the once-over, ensure that your chapters and PDF are present in the folder. Then they're going to communicate with the post-production team on your behalf. So the waiting period, it can take anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks from the time you submit your raw files for them to be fully reviewed and the first cut of your audiobook created. So during this time period, you can just relax, rejuvenate. You can give members of your community, as many chapters as you want to have them listen to it and give you notes on what you should redo. There's no expectations except there's some marketing workshops that we'll have in Google Classroom for you. So your producer is going to receive the notes from the post-production team, and you're going to find out which sections were golden and which ones were problematic and need a redo. So most of the time, there isn't going to be a lot in the redo. If we were, diligent during the sound test and you keep everything right, the levels, everything, and you do the best job that you can during the raw period, there really shouldn't be a whole lot of redos. Our technical team has really sensitive professional equipment. They're going to be listening through special headphones meant for, professionals. And so they are going to hear things that maybe we didn't catch earlier, and they may have some notes on how to correct it in possibly a chapter or sections of a chapter here and there that you're going to have to redo. We're not going to redo chapters for small things. There can be little mistakes here and there. Just as you have a few typos in your regular book, you can have a few tiny mess ups here and there in an audiobook. That doesn't bother listeners at all. So once you get your notes, you are going to have 2 weeks from the time you receive your audiobook back to record the new material. before the final copy needs to be resubmitted to post-production for the audiobook's final version. Um, I don't have a deadline date here uh, that's standard because everybody's going to be in the queue. What'll happen is you'll all submit your books. They'll go into the queue and they'll be handled by the post-production team. And depending on your word count and how clean it was and other things like that, you will get the notes from your producer. At that point in time, you're going to have a meeting with your producer and you will work out the 14-day time period and so everyone's going to have their own individual submission date for the redos. You're going to create a new folder in your Google Drive called Final, and you're going to put the new redos in there. We don't want you to put the files back, the new files, and mix them in with the raw files that you submitted for the first draft. That would be a mess. We're going to have a whole new folder in your Google Drive. You'll put the redos in the new folder. So it's typically going to take the post-production team 2 to 3 weeks to finalize it once your files are submitted. During this period of time, the art team's going to take your book cover and convert it into the square size file you need for your audiobook. Usually they'll have it ready by the time your polished audio files are in review by the post-production team. They're not going to be creating a new cover for you. Please don't ask for that. That is not going to happen. But simply converting your book cover, it's still going to look fresh and fantastic in its new shape. Last chance edits. You are going to get an opportunity to listen to your audiobook after the post-production team completes it. If there's any blatant errors, they can be fixed, especially if the errors are on our side. We want you to have the very best audiobook possible. Please not come back to us to fix every tiny little thing. All books and audiobooks have little errors, and you'd be surprised how listeners rarely even catch them or care about a mistake or three in a long audiobook. Nobody's perfect, and we're not going to try to be. So just like you uploaded your softcover and ebook files to the distribution networks, you're going to do the same with your audiobook files. We're going to teach you how to create an ACX account and upload the files to Audible in a workshop. With ACX, your files get uploaded to Apple iTunes, Audible, and also to Amazon.com. As you own your audiobook, you can decide what other distribution networks you want to upload to. There's lots of them. Your decision should be based on your business model and your goals. And, also you have the option to go completely exclusive with ACX. If you do, you do get a higher percentage of royalties, but you can't obviously work with other distributors. Even if you go non-exclusive, we are now recommending that authors avoid Spotify due to new irregularities in their audiobook contract, allowing them to make derivative works of anyone's audiobook, thereby essentially stealing your copyright ownership. So we do not want any of you to deal with that. Just avoid Spotify right now. You can look it up online and form your own opinion, but we are definitely avoiding Spotify internally. So that is basically it. This is a very short presentation. I just want to make sure that you understand your deadlines, understand a few things that just the process and what's expected of you, and don't fall behind. Get that 25% to 30% of your audiobook done this week, next week, the next 2 weeks, and you'll be surprised the whole audiobook process. You'll have the first draft in, but you'll still have 2 weeks to listen to it and do some redos. I want to talk about our workshops. We're doing live workshops this cohort still, but we're also putting workshops up in Google Classroom. I'm just going to share this with you real quick. Here we go. How to access Google Classroom. And so I have this, it's in the update room, and your producer is going to make sure you have this as well. And you're going to want to get into Google Classroom to start looking at all of the workshops that we're putting in there. Um, the annotation workshop that Michelle Pollock just created and put in there is really going to teach you a lot that's going to help you. And just go on in there and start looking at this stuff. And that's really it for the information I have. If you have questions, you can of course ask them either in your update room to your producer directly. Your producer will have uh, all the answers really that you need, especially pertaining to your specific audiobook. And you can have a meeting every week with your producer to really talk things out, strategize. If you haven't done that yet this week, get on the calendar for your producer and really talk things out. Of course, I'm available, but you know, uh, go to your producer first, and if there's a question your producer doesn't know, then we'll bring it up to me. All right. Thanks, everybody, and have a great time. Remember, the audiobook process should be fun. The more fun you have while you're narrating your audiobook, the more fun your listeners are going to have connecting with you. And the whole point of you self-narrating is to make a connection with your audience, and also to showcase your skills as a narrator, so that if you want to do workshops or professional talks like TED Talks and other things like that, if you want to be a regular podcast guest on people's shows, self-narrating is really going to be a terrific way to showcase your voice and how you sound. And, the more fun you have, the more people will be like, this person is going to be a great guest. So uh, enjoy the process. Try not to get stressed out. It's a lot of work. Most people doing this for the first time do underestimate just how much work it is, but you're not alone. You have a team around you. Utilize us and let us help you through the process. Thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your day.